Super Mario 64 left an indelible mark on gaming when it first launched in 1996, influencing countless games that followed. It was revolutionary for its time, but how does it fare over 20 years later? In keeping with most Super Mario games, Mario must once more save Princess Peach from Bowser's fiendish clutches. Super Mario 64 is the stout plumber's first 3D platforming adventure. Over 15 stages, you must recover the 120 stars that power Peach's castle. In fact, you merely required 70 to see the credits roll. But going for the full amount is the foremost fulfilling experience. The castle serves as an interconnecting hub world and contains plenty of its own stars and secrets to find. It also acts as a playground of sorts in which you can practice Mario's moves. By jumping into magical paintings that adorn the walls, Mario can transport himself to faraway lands. As the first 3D game within the series, Super Mario 64 goes astray from the classic gameplay formula. It's less about getting from A to B and more about exploring and interacting with the environment. Each of the 15 stages contains 7 power stars together. The first 6 of these are unlocked through individual numbered challenges. You at that point got to collect 100 coins in a stage to secure its last star. But that doesn't mean you have to do them in a specified order. If you find a star from a different mission, then you're completely free to pick it up. In fact, you can move on to other stages and come back later, provided you've acquired enough stars. It makes for a more free-flowing experience, especially when it's easy to discover a star by mistake. The hint to finding stars lies within the mission titles, and a few of these can be lovely dubious. It's a ponder ploy to empower you to test and look each alcove and corner. That said, don't feel bad on the off chance that you would like to see things up in a guide. You explore a range of different locales across Super Mario 64 stages. Although the game recycles some of its settings, each level nevertheless feels distinct. For example, Wet Dry World star challenges revolve around racing the stage's water level, whereas TikTok Clock demands precise, well-timed platforming. Races, tricky slides, boss battles, and search and rescue star missions add assortment to the gameplay. Indeed, by the 100-star mark, Super Mario 64 still feels energizing and fun. The stages can't help but appear little compared to today's tremendous open world games, but the noteworthy run of missions make it feels like there's lot to do. Mario wouldn't be Super Mario without having at least 1 or 2 special abilities, and in Super Mario 64 he has a large number of moves at his disposal. As well as jumping and attacking, you can perform advanced moves such as long jumps, backflips, and wall jumps. Running in one direction and all of a sudden turning the opposite way and jumping makes Mario perform a side somersault. Mario can also swim in spite of the fact that he can't hold his breath until the end of time, not at all like a few other Super Mario games. That said, his oxygen and power meters are one and the same. So while taking damage underwater has added risk, you can also regain all your health by coming up for air. It all feels incredibly fluid, not something that can be said for a lot of N64 games. The controls always feel responsive and precise and never get in the way of play. By picking up special caps, Mario picks up additional powers in expansion to his intrinsic abilities. For case, the metal cap makes Mario invulnerable except for fall damage and enables him to walk underwater. These caps only last a limited time, so you have got to be speedy when utilizing them. They're fun to use and add a little more variety to the stages in which they appear. You don't need to master all Mario's moves to reach the end, but you will if you want to get all 120 stars. For the most part, in spite of the fact that you'll approach most impediments and situations in more than one way, it's another subtle plan choice, just like the loose mission-based structure that reinforced Super Mario 64's center on player freedom. If you're going for the full 120 stars at that point, you'll have to be brushed up on your aptitudes. A few star challenges highlight particularly dubious platforming portions. Super Mario 64's camera system is the game's most noticeable flaw today. You can move the camera all the way around Mario, but it stops at set angles. This means it's sometimes very tricky to line up the camera how you want it. Instead, you're forced to move Mario at an awkward angle, which can make jumps difficult to judge. Walls and objects can also pierce the camera, adding to the frustration. Stages with parts of moving elements such as Rainbow Ride can make overseeing the camera dubious. That since you have got to line it up, whereas moreover attempting to time exceptionally precise jumps. The camera is never so bad that it makes Super Mario 64 unplayable, but it may occasionally result in Mario's untimely demise, or at the very least slow you down by forcing you to stop and fiddle with it before big jumps. Despite being one of the first Nintendo 64 games, Super Mario 64 runs very well. The frame rate is for the most part exceptionally smooth and steady. It very so often plunges, but it's never sufficient to adversely affect your ability to play the game. The oversimplified and dynamic cartoon art style truly works within the game's favor as well. I actually think it holds up much way better than the N64's more reasonable offerings. Super Mario 64's bright and colorful visuals mean it doesn't look too dreadful on modern TVs. It'll look faded and fuzzy when hooked up to an LCD or LED TV using standard cables, but it's still very much playable. A CRT TV naturally provides the best experience. If you're lucky enough to own an Ultra HDMI N64, then you'll want to turn on the Gamma Boost setting to get the most vibrant picture possible. Super Mario's MIDI soundtrack may be simplistic, but it's evidently catchy and frequently emotive. Whether you're exploring an underwater cave in solitude or walking bravely into Bowser's lair, the music brings out the setting sublimely. Whereas a few of its blemishes are more noticeable nowadays, Super Mario 64 still holds. It's all down to the game's overriding sense of freedom. You don't have to play through it in a predefined order, and you can approach obstacles and platforming segments in a number of ways thanks to Mario's various abilities. The stages you explore are small by today's standards, but what does that matter when they're filled with so much to do and interact with? Working out what to do, where to go, what to do next, it all makes for a very rewarding gameplay experience. The camera will do its best to work against you at times, the frame rate sometimes plunges, and a few mission depictions are as small as well enigmatic. But that's approximately as awful as it gets. Super Mario 64 was a revolutionary experience in 1996, and it's still a hell lot of fun. And yeah guys, that's it. If you guys like the video, leave a like, let me know what you think of the video, and as always, I hope you enjoy.